What was grim? What was great
What was grim? What was great?
about this week?
Who wants to go first?
I can go
I'm still
first.
thinking. Oh,
I'm
go
happy to
ahead.
go first.
Let's hear it.
I went to training this week for qualifications to become international flight lead, and I passed. So that's happy news for me. So now I can
Yay.
work transoceanic flights and
Whoop,
be
whoop.
in charge of the show, except for the captain, of course. But
Yeah.
He's,
Like, scoot
he's
over,
just
Captain,
a little
I
bit
got
more
it.
in charge.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I'm excited. So I think
Yay.
I'll do my first transoceanic flight as lead in March, probably.
Oh wow, that's coming
That's
up.
exciting.
Yeah, I think I'll do probably Amsterdam or London, probably. So
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah,
What was grim?
I don't have anything. No, I
No.
don't have anything.
You can
grim.
just do one.
I mean,
You don't have to do two.
training's stressful, but
Yeah.
that's not you know,
Right.
it's part of the job. So
Mhm.
Mm.
yeah. How about you guys?
My great was Galentine's Day that we
Aw.
did yesterday. Party at
Cherish
Cherishes.
hosted.
I
Yep.
did.
That was
She did
so
a great
much
job.
fun. We played some games that were a little eye opening. Like some people think I'm gullible.
Oh my gosh.
I think I was projecting.
I really
was
hope
definitely
no one got
projecting.
offended.
No,
I think
it was
we
fun.
did really good though, honestly. But I really hope no one went away harboring any feelings.
It was questions like who would be more likely to get
Yeah.
abducted by aliens?
Yeah, that
and
was
we
fun.
had to all choose and then,
Yeah.
slam our answer down at the same time. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it because it's I love to see people's I don't know how they perceive each other.
Yes,
that was
it's
really
the
interesting.
psychologist in me comes out, and I'm just like, oh, this
Exactly.
is so fun to talk about, and da 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 da.
How do they see me? Like
yeah,
you have a vision of what you are and who you are,
right.
but it's interesting to see
Yeah,
how other
it's an
people think.
exercise not to
For
define you,
sure.
but it's cool to peek a little bit in people's brains of how they.
No, I
think
thought
about
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a good idea. We should do it again.
So
yeah, we really should honestly.
Yeah.
I don't really have a grim
Yeah, I think I'm
that I
gonna
can think of.
carry off of you guys in the sense of I don't really have a grim.
Mhm.
But I think the great was hosting the Galentines and
It was so
being
much fun.
able to I don't know, I had a fun time getting the little decorations for it and
It
the
looked
gifts
so cute.
and
It
then
was super cute.
I don't know, it put me in such a good mood because it's being around your good friends and I don't know, just vibing,
Yeah.
talking.
Mhm.
I don't know.
We had a little pizza.
Yeah, it was a good time,
It was good.
honestly. And I'm okay, I love the fact that we can get together. It's not all the time, but we're able
Have
to
a
just
girls'
kinda,
night.
catch up and have a
Yeah.
girls' night.
It was fun.
So
Yeah.
it was great.
All right, we're all great.
Yeah.
We're all just
That's rare.
I know. I was gonna say that's a rare one. I don't think we've had all great and no grim. So I guess
I'll
keep
take it.
keep it
Keep
going.
rolling with
Yeah.
it.
It's next
Absolutely.
podcast. We're no greats.
Let
all
me
great.
tell ya.
Worst.
It's been rough.
Well, shoot. I think we should just honestly get into it at this point.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
So
What Jennifer did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd she do?
What did she do?
What'd she do?
Yeah. Well, first we should introduce ourselves for those who don't know us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Vex,
I'm Cherish.
I'm Lizzie.
and this is Grim Reviews,
Yeah, it
a
is.
true crime podcast where we cover all things grim and gruesome, particularly covering trending viral documentaries on all streaming platforms.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Trigger warning, we might be talking about some darker content. I don't think this one is that bad.
No, not really.
But
I mean, murder's bad.
Murder's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah, there's not a lot of gruesome details, but
No, there
just,
isn't.
if you're sensitive, just be cautious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
For sure.
forewarned. No complaining later if you listen to
Yeah.
it.
And
but
always, we love to keep things kind of lighthearted and we like to put in our jokes and we are a lively bunch. So if that's
Ew.
yeah. We didn't say ew.
Ew. Sounded like ew.
I
did
did hear
ew.
you. I was like,
Oops.
okay, hate that for us.
So as you can tell, we like to laugh and we like to keep things lighthearted and we're obviously opinionated based. So
Mhm.
I mean, if that's your cup of tea, then honestly, keep sipping.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely a spoiler warning. If you haven't watched What Jennifer Did, which is what we're covering today.
You should.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
I
should.
don't know what
watch
you're
it,
doing
but
with your
Yeah.
life. It's on Netflix.
We're assuming you have already. It's been out for 2 years or one.
I thought it was one. I'm pretty
It
sure
might
it
be
got
one.
published to Netflix last year.
It might have
Okay.
been.
Pretty sure.
Okay.
I think when it first came out, I watched it right away.
I never heard of it until y'all were like,
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do.
I missed the
Yeah.
memo.
Okay.
I
so-
forgot about it. I'm gonna be real. It was just one of those things that came out, and the second it was out, I just went ahead and watched it because it was just there,
Mhm.
and then I
Yeah.
forgot, and then like literally
Sometimes
you're
the
like,
greatest shows just pop up, and you're like, wow, the
Mhm.
algorithm knows me.
Yeah. But that's also what we're here for, is to bring back,
Yeah.
stuff from.
Bring it back.
The
that's so
past.
true. And like almost a year ago, it's not that bad at all. And it's a good one to watch because it's kind of short and to the point,
Yeah.
but it is a lot to talk about there.
Yes, for sure.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think for me, like, because I rewatched it again just to make sure that I had a refresher, but it was kind of giving me like the Menendez brothers vibes a little bit.
How
Okay.
so?
Well, because of just like what she did, what Jennifer did is
Uh-huh.
what the assumption of what they thought the Menendez
Well,
brothers
the
were
Menendez
doing.
brothers did do
Right.
that.
Well, they did do that, but it wasn't for the same reasons.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Like they like were like, oh, the Menendez brothers shot their parents so they could get the money.
I
Right.
think you could, yeah. Well, and then what they actually did it for,
Yeah.
I think really it makes her look like, well, why did you do it? There really
Right.
wasn't
Yes.
as much of a reason for her.
Well,
It wasn't a
no,
good
there's
one.
not
No,
a good one.
Not
but
a good one.
I think like
With-
I'm not giving her any outs. I'm not giving her any outs, but I do think that she was living in maybe a high pressure
Oh, absolutely.
environment. So
Yeah.
that's
For
why
sure.
I kind of
We'll
can
get
see a
into
little
that.
bit of the ties of like the Menendez brothers. It's
Yeah.
just their stories are completely different, but I do see a little bit of
A
the
connection.
a little
Okay.
bit.
Right.
A little bit.
Right.
So, like her first interview, I'm just curious, what did y'all think about like I want to say her fake crying because I never saw
Oh.
any tears come out really. Did you believe her in
I
that
actually
moment?
did, but as we were talking, or as we were saying earlier, I'm gullible. So
Oh my
I thought I was the
I was like,
gullible one.
oh no, she's crying. I don't know.
Poor thing.
I was
You're like, let's shush the baby.
she looked innocent to me first impression.
Really?
Without
Okay.
context, like the moment, because I think like the first scene is them interviewing
And that's
her,
what I was
like,
wondering. Mhm.
in my opinion, it looked like she was upset and had just seen something awful. And
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and in a sense, she did. So there's definitely that
Right.
shock that you're still viewing, like whether.
And she's probably playing off of that emotion of like, I did just see my parents
Well, yeah,
Mhm.
shot.
I think you're gonna be upset regardless.
Mhm.
yeah.
You know,
Right.
So yeah, in my opinion, I thought I was like, okay, this is
I
this
don't
is a
know.
victim of distress.
For me,
I mean, that's fair.
watching it, I was like, she's hiding something. And of course, it's, what did Jennifer do immediately?
So it's like you already.
Oh,
You
right,
already
right, right.
kind
It
of
builds you
know
up to like, okay, what'd she do?
just
Yeah.
from the title, okay, this
Did
this
something.
girl did something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wasn't believing it. I
Okay,
was like, she's
okay.
hiding
Yeah.
something.
Cherish,
Well,
what about you?
I want to bring it back because I
Okay.
think that like to refresh our minds of like, let's set the scene.
Okay.
911 call.
Yeah.
She's, obviously distressed over the phone.
Yeah.
That was a great. That was great.
My dad. I think she literally said, pop, pop. Like, there's pops.
Oh,
There's
that's
two
right.
pops.
She did say that.
Did she
Another
say-
two pops.
At the pop.
Did she say that
Yeah.
on the 911 call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Did
think
she?
she was
Okay.
There's two
explaining
pops.
them. Like,
Mhm.
there's
Two
two
pops.
pops. And I'm like, what? Like, pop
What-
a cat? Like, I don't know.
What are you
Like,
talking about?
oh, we'll get into that too. Like, so anywho, she's talking distressed over the phone.
Mhm.
Obviously, who wouldn't be? It's their parents, you know.
Right.
Right.
And
There's intruders.
There's intruders. There's a burglary. And
How you
then
said that.
Burglary.
next thing you know, the cops are like, whoop, 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 up at the house, trying to like help her out and all that type of stuff. And then she gets brought in for questioning
Right.
to figure out, like, hey, can you explain to what happened and stuff?
Yeah. And you
Right.
want to do it when they're fresh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
get that first story in. And they also want to, they probably are going to bring her back. Even if they don't think
Right.
she's done something, they usually
Mhm.
bring them back just to compare and contrast notes. Like, is she saying the exact same thing as she did before?
Yeah.
So they want to catch her in a lie
Right.
if they suspect her of
Right.
something.
So
Right.
she's saying that there's two pops she heard, and her mom screamed, and then there was a couple more towards the dad,
Mm-hmm.
and that she got separated from her parents. They tied her up.
Upstairs.
Upstairs.
Mm-hmm. And then essentially the burglars ran out the door. and the result was her dad was put in a coma and in critical condition at the hospital.
Yes.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
mother died.
Yes.
Yes.
She died.
She died on scene, right? And
Yeah.
then he his brain was swelling, and they put him in a medically induced coma,
Yeah.
so it could recover.
And this really did bring me back to the girl that at my high school and what she did.
Yes. Let's
And I'm not-
let's
I don't
talk
wanna-
about this.
What happened?
We can.
Yeah.
I mean, like, granted, it was
Curious.
so long ago because I truly don't remember all the details, but it was so similar in a sense because
Bill.
I was in high school and I think it was, I don't know if it was my junior or senior year. It might have been my senior year, going into my senior year.
Okay.
And essentially there was a girl on my volleyball team. I'm not going to name any names because I'm not trying to really like out anybody or anything, even though it's
Right.
public record.
You could look it up.
Yeah. Literally, they did like a little TV show on it and everything.
Really?
Yeah, and they contacted me about it. Remember I told you?
No, I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
this
I
story.
have my-
You told me this,
I'm
but I didn't know that they did a TV show.
Yeah, they did like one of those little like those little like not Dateline. It was like one of
Interview.
those when they're like blacked out and they're like
Oh,
and they have
okay.
like a
Anonymous.
voice and they would
Oh.
tell the story and then bring
Okay.
up the photos of like the person in the high
Girl,
school.
we
and
could
stuff
cover
like that.
this.
Bill.
Oh
What is this? Yeah.
Honestly, though, we kind of could, but I don't know. It just makes me uncomfy when it's too close to home. I don't know why.
That's fair. But we also, you don't have to share like your personal story with it. We don't. You
Right,
know what
that
I mean?
is
like,
true.
We could
I'm
just
waiting
talk
on
about
pins
the
and
case.
needles over
I'm
here.
so
What
sorry, Lizzie.
happened?
Okay, so essentially, there is a girl that went to my high school. She was a part of the volleyball team. I was captain at the time. And so she would have like the pizza parties before a volleyball game at her mom's house, which was actually her aunt. But long story short, one day I woke up to text saying that the school was closed and everything because there was a shooting. Turns out her mom and dad were shot to death. Besides the mom, actually, she survived.
But was
the
it her
dad.
aunt, really?
It was really her aunt.
Okay.
But like she went by her mom because her real mom was in jail and not doing well. So
I
she
gotcha.
raised her like when she was
that was
pretty much a
like her
kid.
mom.
It was like her mom.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
But mom and dad were
she
shot.
was down in the basement chilling, didn't know. She heard, oh my gosh, like parents got shot and everything like that. And then eventually it came out where she had her boyfriend come in and
Kill
shoot
him?
them and kill them, but the mom survived.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she spilled.
And the reason why is because they weren't really happy with the relationship because he wasn't really the best of news. And then another guy was the accomplice in the shooting, even though he was like a really good wrestler at the high school at the time too.
Crazy.
So we don't really know why he got
was
involved.
her boyfriend at your high school or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I
boy.
think he was like he was just someone I wasn't really familiar with. I want to say he was a druggie, somebody that wasn't into like the good things. The girl, she was known to get good grades. She was on the volleyball
So you've
team.
met a
like,
murderer.
Oh,
Crazy.
yeah. Like literally, like on my
Wow.
volleyball team would go over her house when we had the
Yeah.
team like
Yeah.
get
That's
togethers.
wild.
Like it was really like whoa. And me and her weren't like close buddy. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
But you
But
know
like
her.
I knew her and we were friendly.
Yeah.
I had no
her
I
boy.
had no like ill intentions toward her. She was on the band.
Yeah.
Like she was excelling in my eyes. I thought she was doing
Right.
great. And then all of a sudden she had this boy that
All of a
she
sudden
fall
she's in
love with,
prison.
and then da-da-da-da. Yeah, so like she ended up getting committed into prison for life in prison.
Oh my
Dang.
gosh.
If you Google her name, which I'm not going to share, but if you Google it, you'll see her.
I need the
There.
details later.
I'll give
Yeah.
you
Well, maybe
later.
our listeners can guess what case this is.
All I gotta say is it happened in Yale, Michigan.
Okay.
That's all I'm giving y'all, and y'all can look it up yourself. And if you want more of that, maybe we'll do
You
a
know, some
podcast.
good
on it.
Maybe
sleuths.
that
They're gonna
would-
be like, "This is
But
what it is."
How close is that to the story of
That-
what Jennifer
that's
did?
extremely
Pretty
close.
Yeah, I
close.
could see why it reminded
Yeah.
you.
I was
of
like,
it, the
whoa.
situation. Yeah. Yeah.
Flashback.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird though, because I'm gonna be real. I got reached out to like cover and like give my thing because they found out these reporter people, they're
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did
They investigate.
How did
They-
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we'll give you money for it and all that type of stuff. But at the time, it
Wow.
was too close to comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't
That's-
want to, if anything, I felt so bad for her mom
How much money
and
though?
the family. And I did
Lizzie.
not
What?
enough to convince me to do
Oh,
it.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Um,
asking.
but like I really thought her
Just
mom was
curious, just
amazing,
curious.
and she was an amazing teacher, and she was a part of the school system and everything, and I felt awful for her, and I was like, the last thing I would want to do is like reopen all of that for her.
Reopen the
Yeah.
wound.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it happened like a couple years since that happened.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Not to
understandable.
deviate, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
But that needed to be told.
Yes.
a little bit. I was
Mhm.
just kind of like, whoa, like people just out here having their boyfriends take out their parents.
Maybe it's a common thing and we just didn't even think about it. That's wild.
Yeah, because we're good children.
Right. We
And
are.
We don't think about
Right,
murdering
Mom
our
and
parents.
Dad. No,
It's just-
I could imagine.
It's just crazy
I
though
love my
how
parents.
they present themselves as something completely different
Yeah.
as to like what they're thinking in their head. You know.
Yeah.
About,
And that's the
about their
scary
parents, about
part.
people around them. Like
Right, you
that's-
would never know. Because I'm gonna
Yeah.
be real. Like,
Mhm.
I still to this day, it's just kind of like, what? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in Jennifer's case, like, it's just kind of like, because you couldn't be with a boy.
Okay.
Like, that's the reason.
Right.
One of the reasons.
And you have to be somewhat, I'm sorry, but immature for
Oh,
that.
it's a very immature
It's a
perspective.
very immature perspective of like, this is it for me. This is the only guy. And girl, just like wait. You know, there's
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
be plenty more guys.
I love that like we just started the episode. We've already told them what Jennifer did.
I mean, it's pretty.
You watched it though,
But
right?
we will get into the details.
Yeah,
of
we
the
will.
Case.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, but it's kind of like it's crazy. So like it starts off kind of in high school with her relationship with the boyfriend,
Right.
because the
Mhm.
investigators are trying to figure out like, okay, let's make it make sense. Because
Right.
when they went
Right.
to the house, there was a couple things that they noticed about the burglary.
They're like,
Yes.
wait a minute, they didn't get all the cash,
Right.
which is super sus. I
Very
mean, if
sus.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
burgle someone, I'm gonna do it right.
Bur-
Right.
Burgle is that a word?
I'm only gonna take the
Burgle.
fives because
Yeah,
they're.
rob maybe.
Burgle,
Burgle.
burgle.
I'm gonna burgle you.
I'm gonna burgle you.
It,
I kind of like it.
it felt right before, but you've ruined
I'm
it.
sorry.
Well,
Should we don't need to rehash of the last episode, do we, Bex?
No.
Okay.
Let's move forward.
naive or
She was like,
naivete.
naivete.
stop. It's naivete. Okay.
Naivete? It sounds like a private school. Do you go to Naivete?
With a British accent. Yeah. You go to Naivete.
Leave me alone. Okay.
What were we even
Yeah.
talking about?
Oh yeah.
Burgle.
So I mean, they didn't even take all of their jewels. They had like a watch. They had a
Right.
ring.
Safe
They
wasn't
had
touched.
cash. Safe wasn't touched. They had like a camera in the closet.
Yeah.
You know.
What
all
type
this.
of burglary is this?
Right.
Right.
You're not very thorough.
Right.
So
And for
That was
her
an
to be
issue.
tied up and like going through like the details of like how everything happened, you would think that like in the amount of that time that they would have grabbed more, did more.
Right.
So
Yeah. Let's also cover the fact that so this happened in I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Markham, Ontario. So it was in Canada.
Yes.
And
It was in
this
Canada.
like this area or this neighborhood, it's not known for
it's very safe.
crime.
true.
It's a
Yeah.
so the fact that this like double shooting happened and this robbery just happened out of nowhere was really shocking to the
And they
community.
say-
right.
Like this
They,
they
say
just
out in a
this
boat.
didn't happen.
Out,
Huh?
out in a boat.
Oh,
no.
the boot.
Okay.
The boot.
What? What?
It's true. It's a very quiet neighborhood.
Yeah.
Nothing
Mhm.
ever happens. So people were genuinely kind of scared because they're like, wait a second.
Right.
There's
This
a murder that
random-
happened and we don't even know who did it because
Right.
you know what I mean? Like there's
It's
no
such a
like,
random
leads.
crime.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it happened like so unexpectedly to people who had like they weren't very well known, I would guess, but they
Yeah.
had a good reputation in the
In the neighborhood,
community.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just like, why would this happen?
And
to
they said
them?
they
Yes.
were quiet people. They didn't
Yeah.
cause a lot
Yeah.
of trouble.
And then-
Right.
and
Can we
then that-
talk about the just how she described her parents and the background of her parents?
Oh yeah, going like during the investigations.
Yeah, when they were
Mhm.
asked her in the first interview, like, okay, like, would you say that your parents are like well off, or like, no, I don't think so.
They have enough to cover bills.
Right,
that's
and then
right.
right, and then he's like, meanwhile, the mom drives a Lexus, I think, and the dad a Mercedes, and he's
Mercedes.
like,
Yeah,
those
that's
aren't cheap
right.
cars, and she's
Right.
like,
It's a
yeah,
little
they,
flashy.
I know that she's diligent with her money and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, they diligent.
And aren't they paying for her education and stuff too?
They
so
did.
it's like they're not well to do. There's a lot of parents that wouldn't be able to like
Right.
afford
Or
their
Well,
and on
child's
top of that,
education and
Their house isn't that like huge or anything, but,
But
the
they-
fact
it's
that they
paid
all
for.
paid off and
Yeah.
for, I'm like, no, girl,
and they
you
had no debts.
They're
either
doing
you-
good.
You know good and well your parents are doing well for
Yeah.
themselves just because they're not super flashy. But I'm sorry, but like a Lexus and a
And
Mercedes.
she wanted all that for her.
But let's
Mm.
also it kind of ties into when they were asking her questions about how the murders went down. She said that she was tied up upstairs. The
Mhm.
mom had just come back from line dancing. Suddenly there were
Right.
3 men in the house
Mhm.
who tied her upstairs.
Yeah.
And
Which
then,
is weird. Okay,
that's
well,
weird.
On the banister.
Yeah, on the banister.
Mhm.
But how they were like, oh, I lost my train of thought. Hold on.
well,
It's
I had
coming back.
something to say.
Oh, it was you lied to us. She heard the conversation downstairs, even though she wasn't downstairs.
Uh-huh.
But she could hear them saying like, "You lied to us. You lied to us."
Right.
And so it kind of proved it like, oh, do they owe money or something?
Right.
But if they had this reputation of like, I paid off my debts. We have nice vehicles. Like
They don't
you know,
have
like,
debts.
they
right.
don't have. Yeah. Then what are they lying about?
I mean,
Why
the
are
sheer,
they trapped
the
up in
sheer
money?
fact that, sorry,
No, go ahead.
the sheer fact that Jennifer wasn't dead was suspicious. Because
Right?
that too.
So suspicious.
Who's-
Why were you left?
Mhm.
Right, who's gonna kill 2 people, not think anything about it, but then be like, "No, you're good.
Right,
I'm
right,
just gonna
right.
leave
Good
you
to go.
upstairs."
Yeah, why would
Yeah.
they leave a witness? And that
Right.
was
Exactly.
one of the
Right.
detectives. I think it was Detective Bill. He was like, I don't understand why
Right.
she's here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
can you explain to me? And she's like, oh, I don't know. What did
I
she
just
say?
listened.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just listened. Yeah.
And so there were they when they had a gun to their head.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know, everyone listens.
And maybe
pretty
their
sure.
English wasn't as clear, but
No,
That
it's a
typically
whole
doesn't
made up
happen.
scenario. That's just not how it happened at
Right.
all. That's why.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know,
They
like-
knew you, you know.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, it came down to it. I think that she was trying to portray herself so innocent, but the
Mm.
problem that I see that happens, or I should say, like, one of the tells is
Mhm.
that when you're responsible for something, typically some of the times they just do too much. They give too much detailization.
Right.
And it's like, that's how you
Yeah.
mess yourself up. Because
That's
they're going to
very
go back to
true.
it and be like, well, you said
So
this,
true.
that, and the other. And she was giving off not unnecessary stuff that went down.
They
Mhm.
always
Like-
they always do.
One of the things that I thought
Let's hear it.
was interesting was they said to describe the burglar that came in.
Mhm.
And okay, I get it. Yes, it could be a minority. I'm not saying that it couldn't be.
Mhm.
But she went an extra step further
Right.
and be like, yeah, and he was Jamaican.
Yeah, with a Jamaican accent.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you pulling that from?
Her ass.
Like, yeah, straight up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, okay, we get it. You could have been like, okay, yeah, I think he was a black person or whatever. Or he seemed to
Mhm.
be African American or like a darker
Right.
skin tone. But
But
you
no.
went as far to be like, yeah, it
You
was
Jamaican,
Jamaican.
man.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
Back it up. Back it up.
like, I don't know. I feel like knowing that she's lying,
Mhm.
what is that doing for your story?
Right, right.
Like, what correlation do you have with Jamaican people and burglaries? Is there something I don't know? There's not. And so part
Yeah.
of me is just kind of like, that's going to really mess you up later on, little girly. Like,
Yeah.
you should have kept your mouth shut. You should have just kept it.
She should have kept it more vague.
Very
Right,
much.
for
You should be like,
sure.
I didn't really catch him. Like, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Right.
Because later on, guess what? They messed her up on that one.
Yeah.
They do,
Yeah,
and I'm
She
just
could have
did.
said they
sure did.
blindfolded me. I didn't see anything. All I could.
Did they say? Did she say that she was
No.
blindfolded?
No, she
No,
didn't.
but I'm just
But
saying-
if she
oh,
did,
she
that would
said
have helped
that.
her
She
out.
should have.
Yeah.
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 I didn't see anything. You know, all I could hear were screams.
The
like,
less you know, the better.
And if she was
Absolutely.
if she was
The less
really
you say.
smart, they should have played it out exactly as she told it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
literally tie her up, blindfold her.
Well, they
do
did
the
Well,
deed
they-
and all
try.
that,
they-
but
In one of the interviews, they were like, "Okay, we don't understand how
They
were you
did.
able to pull out your
to
phone
get your phone while you
your
were
hands
tied.
were
Mhm.
tied
Right.
behind you in the banister?" So they're like, "Show us how you did that."
right.
And she had to reenact it, and she was so upset about it.
Mhm.
She was
And-
like,
Puffing
"Oh,
and
this is
puffing.
so
It's just so
traumatizing."
triggering.
Yeah.
But she was able to do it.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think I would be able to do
on
it
a
too.
banister. You
On a
can
banister
move.
Right.
you can move back
Yeah.
and forth.
But the thing
So-
is had she actually done it in the real life scenario, then it really wouldn't have been the well, it's just sending me back. She didn't say that, but that was given what she was giving.
Is what
She
it
It's
was,
like
yeah.
she would have just gotten up and be like, okay, like I'll try to, but been able
Mhm.
to do it because why? You actually reenacted
She's
and
not
did it, but she wasn't
acting.
smart enough to do it.
Right.
Well, okay. So I feel like there was kind of a good cop, bad cop kind of scenario being played with her investigation because you had Detective Bill, who was really asking her all the questions
Right.
and keeping note of everything she was saying. But then you had Detective Deborah, who was the point of contact and seemed to be more of like emotionally
Yeah.
supportive. And
Right.
she was kind of gullible like me, I guess, because she kind of fell for it. And so
She was like, man,
later.
look
Yeah.
how much she's struggling
Yeah,
after
she was
this.
like, I've
Uh-huh.
been there for her. And when Jennifer started opening up about her family dynamic and how there was just a lot of high pressure
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
these
she
expectations
messed.
were set for her, Detective Deborah was like, oh yeah, like I can totally relate with that because I grew up in a stressful, like high
Right.
pressure environment.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
she felt with her or felt for her.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
just finding out later, she didn't catch on.
Right
She
away.
didn't.
She
Right.
fell
Which
for the
I thought was
play.
kind of
Mhm.
interesting because it's like they were digging because it wasn't making sense.
Yeah.
It
Like,
wasn't
still
adding
wasn't
up.
adding up, but I guess they really were thinking that there's something that she's hiding, but it's not going to point it back to her
And-
directly, I guess.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
was just kind of like, but like, there's literally no one else besides her and her ex.
Well-
There's no one else that you can really point it at.
Right, no. And then there was also her father who was in a coma, so I feel like it was a waiting game too. So it was
Oh,
like,
right.
okay, we've
Yeah, they
asked who
wanted
we
to
can
hear
ask, but now we have
his
to
side of the
wait.
Oh
story.
yeah, the dad
For
was
the
like, "I'm gonna drop
victim."
this bomb."
And you know, she meant for him to die.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
did not want
yeah.
to leave a
No.
witness for
I,
this.
you know what I was thinking? I was like, oh my
What?
gosh, like imagine if she would have like went to the hospital and like tried to finish it off or something. 'Cause I imagine like
Well, that
Right.
think about it like, oh
Uh,
my goodness, like he could potentially
That's
wake
terrifying.
up
And
like,
tell the
what is it
truth.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so not condoning someone to do that, but honestly, at that point, like I'm surprised she didn't go up
well,
there
I
and kind of
wonder
like do
if that
that.
was kind of running in her head, like, what
Yeah.
should I do now? Or
Right.
hoping that, fingers crossed he doesn't make
Hoping,
it.
yeah.
Like, ooh, that's
I kind of
That's
I kind of
rough.
feel like when she was giving out information of her past regarding like her education and her parents strict with piano lessons and strict with her
Mhm.
having to make the right grades and going to the university to like get a certain degree
And that was
all
big
type of
for
stuff.
them.
yeah.
I think when she was in that space of like letting them know, I do feel like there was like her being, I don't know, would be vulnerable. I don't know if like during that period she was really being conniving. I
Yeah.
think she was more so being like, you don't
I
understand
think
what
she
I've
was
been through.
right. I
You
think
know
she
what
was
I
just
mean?
trying to survive. You know, it's really hard to say because never had like that pressure put on me. So I
Right.
don't know. I didn't live through that.
Mhm.
But I can understand, her lie of, yeah, I'm at the university when she didn't
Ah,
go because like maybe
girl.
she couldn't get in. Maybe it was just too much for her,
Yeah.
That's so uncommon. Like
Yeah.
I get forging report cards, never done it. But I know that it's something. Like it's on another level if you're not only just forging report cards,
yeah.
but certificates. And then you're literally having your
Yeah.
dad
It
drop you
goes
off.
beyond to a new
Like,
level.
It's on
yeah.
a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Like so part of me is
And
just
she
like
took money from them,
Right.
for it. It'd be one thing if she was living on her own and she told them, "Yeah, I'm going,"
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
wasn't involved at all past that. But she took money from them. He
Really
dropped her
did.
off. So I
Yeah,
mean,
so she kept up this lie for 4
did.
years. So she really
Yeah. That's
opened
wild.
up. She opened up during the investigations of like her family dynamic with her parents, and she was very upfront about like, yep, I've been lying to them for the last 4
Yeah.
years about continuing my education at university. Like I think she graduated, but didn't
right.
actually go to university. From my
No,
understanding,
she
So
didn't.
I don't-
They were sending her
no, not at
money,
all.
dropping
Yeah.
She didn't
her
graduate
off
at all.
there.
I don't even know
and-
she went. Did she
just
even
to give
go?
further context. But yeah, so she was lying the whole time, creating fake report cards, and she was very upfront with the detectives about
Right.
those lies,
Right.
but not the ultimate lie,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
was the fact that
And
she
I
murdered her
get,
parents.
wanting to please your parents and not disappoint them, but like you said, it goes to a whole new level when you start doing all of that.
Yeah,
I just think
yeah.
like the amount of hearing it is just like that is so much energy
Mhm.
and work, and you're also living with your parents. at
She
the
made a
same
fake
time.
degree too.
Yeah.
Oh my
Mhm.
It
God,
was
yeah.
what was it called? Yeah, my sister Iris helped me out with it because I was like, what did she say? It was a falsified science degree from Toronto Metropolitan University in Ryerson, and I was just kind of like. I was just like, oh my word. Like, I get it. Like, you're stressed, girly, but I'm just kind of like,
Who isn't?
who isn't? But I'm just kind of like,
I almost feel like what the effort you're putting into
Yeah.
making this lie, you might as well just
You might as well just go to school.
Yeah, just
It's true.
or
Yeah.
just like, in the meantime, if that's not what you want to do, go to school doing something else, or just do something else that's productive enough for you to be like, okay,
Right.
I'm sorry I left for 4 years, but guess what?
I'm doing
Yeah.
I'm an MUA.
Or
like, I don't know.
Or I don't know, she's an adult. Move away from your parents.
Right,
You know, you don't have to be under their
Right.
umbrella anymore.
Honestly,
You're an adult.
That's the answer for this whole case.
So
Just
true.
leave.
It was the same with the Menendez brothers. It's like,
Right.
go
Just leave.
away.
Just
Just
go
leave.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what was it? Her excuse was like, oh, well, I told my parents that this is what I'm doing. And she said that it was kind of like involving her relationship, but it's just altogether move away. But like in the relationship that she's like, I'm choosing to stay with my parents because I choose my parents over him.
Yeah, and I'm choosing to take
Oh.
care of them because they need me.
And I think
Do they? I don't know. They don't really have much debt
Well,
or
your
anything.
dad's in the hospital now.
Yeah, do they
so
really
yeah.
need you? I think she wanted a free place to stay. And I
Yeah.
think she wanted to get paid for school that she wasn't
That's
going to.
the thing is that it's like you're saying, you know, just leave, just go
Yeah.
away, but they're dependent. They're
Right.
dependent
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
people that
So
they
true.
want to take
Financially.
out.
So true.
So,
Right.
And
yeah.
her one friend, I forgot his name, but the friend from high school that said
yes,
Oh, yeah.
he
I think his
Low-key.
Nam.
he low key
No.
like
Mhm.
threw her under the bus
Oh, he did.
because he was,
He was
just
like,
kinda
she's not that smart. She
Right.
didn't make great grades. Yeah, that was,
he was
funny.
like the high school that we went to. It was a lot of kids, foreign kids, you know, from different Asian backgrounds and stuff like that for the most part. And a lot
were
of
expected to
people
get
were
good
getting
grades.
A's and top tier students. She was not one of those students.
Yeah.
And
She's pretty
obviously-
all around average, but he said she
Right.
was nice and stuff, and like, but he did notice a lot of drama between her and her boyfriend, which the police ended up interviewing because I think the boyfriend, his name was Danny Wong. He
Mhm.
actually called in and was like, "Hey, we've been getting these.
Oh,
Me
yeah.
and Jennifer have been getting these
Like
harassing
cold
phone
calls?
calls. I think it was a
Oh.
week up until the murder,
Yeah.
and so I just wanted to report this in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so they got to know the boyfriend a little more and understand the dynamic between him and Jennifer and the family because they really were.
I think
starting to dig in at
immediately
that
they were
point.
like, we need to look into this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they found out that he was an ex-boyfriend of 7 years.
Yep. 6 to 7 years
And
ago.
they had broken up 2
Mhm.
years ago though. I think it was
Because
kind an
of
on and
her
off
parents.
Oh my
because
goodness.
of her
basically.
parents.
This is the
And-
part that's so sad and just like a little bit confusing, but just kind of like sad.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like they
But-
broke up,
Yeah.
and like, girl, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, let him go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was definitely obsessed with him, but
Yeah.
like why the parents weren't a fan of him was because he was a freaking drug dealer.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't be a fan
He
either.
was charged with a drug possession and trafficking in the past. They didn't go into
Wait, what?
What
Yeah.
traffic?
yeah, it said
Like
it.
human trafficking?
I don't know.
They
That's
didn't
what I was gonna
say?
say. It just says trafficking. When he
Mm.
literally was,
Maybe drug
they brought him
trafficking.
in for that interview, and he admitted it, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been charged with drug possession and trafficking." And I was
Wow.
Okay,
What type of
I
trafficking?
missed that part. I
Yes.
missed the trafficking
like,
That's
"Yeah,
part.
they didn't go into
Okay.
detail with that," and I was like,
Can you
"Okay."
imagine being a parent? I'd be like, hell no, you're
Yeah.
not seeing him anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why they weren't approving of the situation, and then they had already been separated for 2 years up until the murder. So
Right.
it brings a lot
Confusion.
of confusion
Confusion.
into the equation.
She
But
was
I think-
obsessed over him.
I was gonna say, I think they learned that she was obsessed with him.
but
yeah,
he
you
also
know?
was leading her on.
For sure. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Like in those
he's
text
a fuckboy.
messages,
He
those text messages was
continued
like, "Oh, I love you,
to
but
let it
not the
go.
way." Something like just
Because
kind
he
of
was
like
with
keeping her
someone
on.
during
Yeah.
this whole time. He was
Christine.
with someone else,
Yeah.
like when this all occurred. But he called in for some reason and was like, "Oh yeah, me and Jennifer have been harassed." And so the police start to question, like, okay, maybe because he's a drug dealer and all of this stuff, and they had a previous relationship, maybe
Yeah,
that's
bad
what.
deal going wrong or
Maybe that's why the
something,
family
yeah.
got targeted for these murders. They're
Right.
trying to
Right.
find out why did this happen, right?
Right,
So
right,
they're
right.
thinking
Right.
maybe Danny is why.
Yeah,
He's the link.
And they
that
dropped-
works. So that's why they start looking into this more.
yeah. And then
Um,
Jennifer drops the dude homeboy.
Homeboy.
Home-
Yeah.
Oh, that's
She talks
a
about
little later
Homeboy
on.
a little
But
later.
at first, it's like, okay, why didn't Jennifer talk about these harassing phone calls? Because
Right.
there were weren't there some
Right.
statements that were kind of said like you
Oh,
were gonna
yeah.
die or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they were
And they
threat-
It was,
asked
it was
her,
a cryptic
like-
message right before her parents died saying
Right.
that
Bang,
they'll
bang.
be dead. Bang bang, they're,
Yeah.
they're
Bang,
dead or
bang.
something like that. And
I wish I said pop pop. That would have
Pop, pop.
so true.
pop, like she
Honestly,
said on
like
the- on
they
the call.
they said that there is hundreds of prank calls that they received in the last few months.
And
up
why
until
wouldn't
their
you bring that
original-
up? Because they said
she
like,
said nothing to the police.
yeah, nothing. Yeah.
So that was kind of the police were kind of like, Okay, what?
Okay.
I think
Why
they
didn't you
asked
tell me
her, and
about
she was
this?
like, I
This.
didn't think of it.
Why wouldn't you think of it? I would be thinking
Yeah.
if my parents
Yeah.
were murdered, I would be looking into
Every
everything.
scenario
I would
that
be
you could think of.
investigating
Right.
just
Yeah.
as much as the police are.
Yeah.
I would be
Yeah.
going through their phones. I would be going through my phone. I would
Right.
be
And if they
pulling
looked
up
at me,
all their
I'd be like,
Facebook
here,
friends.
here's all my stuff.
Right.
Get me out of the way so you can actually find the person
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
did
for
this.
sure.
Yeah.
But there's just the fact that you're just not going to bring up information because, I didn't think of it.
I didn't think it
was
That's-
important.
That's
Right.
very concerning.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she was lying.
And it
She
shows the
was.
police that you're hiding something.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And
Yeah.
I think that they were really what is it called? Tipped off in the sense of like, okay, there's something weird going on between
Yeah.
these
And
two
again, the fact that
because-
she's alive is a tip off that there's something.
right.
You know?
Well, I think also like when it came down to the second interview,
Mm-hmm.
that's when they were like, she's involved in this somehow. We
Right.
just got to figure out how because
How?
they
Yeah.
they brought her back and it was for the third interview, either the second or the third interview. I can't remember which one, but they were pretty much to the point where it was just like, okay, you've lied to us about your
Yeah.
education.
Uh-huh.
You've lied to your parents about your education.
What else are you lying
Where
about?
you're like, so we
Right.
know that you're a liar. So it's
Mhm.
not out of the realm that you've
Bring it
lied
up.
at some point.
Yeah, yeah. What?
So
Spit it
like,
out.
what
Give us
is
more.
it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But-
even when they were interrogated, she was like, okay, yeah, but like I did it, but it wasn't, me. It was,
Right.
you know.
But the thing is, like, she did talk about 3 men going into the house, right?
Good.
And this
Mhm.
starts coming out on the news in the area and stuff. And there was security footage found
Of
in the
3
neighborhood
men
of
going
3 men going
into the
in,
house.
and then 3 men going back out, I think.
Yeah,
And
30
so-
minutes later.
But no forced entry or anything. They just entered and left. But so there
Yeah.
was some truth to the situation. There were 3 men.
Which,
Mhm.
you know,
but
when they were
what's going
like,
on?
was there any forced entry? Like, did you see anything or hear anything? And she's like, no, I couldn't see anything. I'm like, you know that you opened the door.
Well, so that was
Right.
You know?
another like lie where she was like, "Oh, burglars broke into the house and everything," but then there was no
Burgled.
forced entry. So
Burgled.
it's like
I
there's
think
no forced
burgled's
entry.
a word.
Burgled?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm gonna look
We're
it
gonna
up
look it up
after
later.
this.
Yeah. We're going to look it up later.
But like a robbery.
Yes.
That's where I'm switching over, guys. The robbery was like, oh, they broke into the house and all that type of stuff, but then they're like, there's no forced entry, and then we have the camera from the neighbor, and then it shows
Right.
that the
Uh-huh.
people like easily walked into the door and like walked out.
Right. There was
So how did
there was
make
no
that make sense?
struggle. Yeah.
Mhm.
Unless they just kept their doors open all the
Yeah.
time, which, I really doubt. Most
Yeah.
people don't nowadays.
No, but if it was a safe neighborhood, though, like, I don't know, some people
Right.
are
It's
a
possible.
little more like they'll leave
Mhm.
their car unlocked or whatever,
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't
Trust-
know.
can't
It
trust
just
people.
really depends on the community I think you're in.
Right.
I mean, it does. I mean, but like, it's just kind of one of those things where I think at the end of the day, you should have understanding of like what's normal and unnormal in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mhm.
her to kind of plead this like, oh, I couldn't tell you, I don't really know. Like, it's just kind of like, I don't know.
If
I love
they
how
if they
you-
kept the door unlocked often, she might just be like, "Well, my parents often kept the door unlocked."
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
if she was telling
That
the
That's
truth.
true. She
yeah,
could have
if
said
she's
that.
telling the truth,
That's-
she could've
oh,
said-
that's
that's what I'm
common.
saying. That like
Right.
you would just
Didn't think
know
about
like
that.
your own home to be like, oh well, you know what? We actually keep the door unlocked a lot.
But she's trying to
Right.
hide stuff, so she's
Right.
not gonna say that.
And bringing it back to the prank calls.
Right.
She was like, "Oh, why didn't
They
bring
called
it
them
up?"
crank calls.
Prank? Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
I did not.
And
that
I
did
was
not register.
like, what are they talking about?
I'm gonna have to look up
Oh.
that. What does that mean? Crank.
Zach was like,
calls.
it just means prank calls.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
I
A
was like,
different way of
okay.
saying it.
Yeah.
But bringing it back to that, she was like, "Oh, why I didn't think of it? It was because I thought it was Danny's girlfriend.
Mhm.
And
Right,
she
right,
was
right.
jealous, and that's why she's messaging us both." And I'm like, "Well, that doesn't make sense because wouldn't that be Jennifer? Like Jennifer should be the jealous one because
Right, right,
they're together.
Yeah.
So
Well-
wouldn't it be Jennifer doing the prank
Well,
calls on her?
the
You know what I
only-
mean? Like,
Right,
that doesn't make
right.
sense either.
The
That
only
story.
way to go around that is that he was continuing contact with her,
Mhm.
and he
Mhm.
actually was dating someone else.
Mhm.
So that part is kind of real in the sense of like, even though like he like broke up or they broke up and she chose her parents and this and that and the other,
Right.
it's like y'all
Yeah.
both didn't really move on.
Mhm.
Like y'all are exes.
Yeah.
Leave.
Leave
Yeah.
leave it
Move on,
alone.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? But like she's keeping in contact with him and
'Cause
he's
she still loves
responding.
him.
And
yeah.
he's responding so much to the point that at some point, somehow, you end up agreeing
Mhm.
to
To
like,
help her? Kill her parents.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. There's incentives there, right? But
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, come on, dude. Like,
There's some money, but
you even said in the text message, I think he said something kind of like how she was too much, or like, too. I forgot how he worded it, but it was essentially alluding that like you're too much to be around, like you're too overwhelming or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so you
Well,
don't even
this
really
whole
love
case
her or
that
like
she
her like
concocted.
I mean, she's not going to be around much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she
that's
gets caught.
true.
So.
So it's like they're interrogating the details of the situation, the details of her lies. Also, do you realize the university that they were driving her to? I'm sorry, it was all the way out in Toronto. Like
Mhm.
I don't know the distance between Ontario and Toronto because
I don't think it's too
I'm
far.
geographically challenged. Okay, but
Same.
like I feel like okay, that's a stretch. Like
I think it was like an hour or something.
an hour still.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, it is a stretch.
Yeah.
Her dad was dropping her off.
and I did
Wow.
Not
like-
every day, but
they were also driving her around all the time for her. Remember, she was a
Right.
pianist,
yeah.
Mhm.
so they were driving her to pianist or
Piano lessons.
yeah.
Well, that was when she was a kid.
No, it was still happening around
high
that time
school?
because
She was
they
older?
found out.
she
Remember
was?
when they were talking on and off, her and Danny, and so
Uh-huh.
they found her. She was still in communication with him when they broke up.
Happy birthday balloons.
I don't know. I just
James,
James
no,
keep
is
that.
it still
That's
going?
weird. No, it's gone
Okay.
now. I just see movement in the corner of
It
my
was
eye. I'm
happy
like, what
birthday
is that?
balloons.
That's
So
weird.
Wait, I was doing this. Is that no? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
Did you say something that was like birthday related?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't even remember what I was talking about now. I was talking about oh yeah, they were driving her to piano school and stuff too because
Piano school.
classes because
Classes.
because they had found that her and Danny were still texting each other.
Right.
And so
Right.
they were really monitoring her. So like they were driving her around everywhere and stuff. or
Is
at
that
least-
when she cried?
Yeah,
to
she
the...
she
But I
cried
thought that was
to
while
the
she was
piano
still
teacher.
in like high school.
I think she was still in high school.
Still in high
then.
school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't
it
think
wa-
she was an adult.
because
Well, remember
because she had
her-
been with him for so long.
she's 7 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
a
think
long
it was
time.
kind of a flashback of like
I thought it
she
was
cried.
a flashback in high school
Yeah.
too, when they first found out that they were together.
Okay.
And essentially, like, she was like, they don't want me to be with him anymore, and it's stressful, and he felt for her.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, it's just like, okay, like,
Right.
you're a kid. But the thing is, though, is she still continued to be with him, just
or
behind her
at least
parents'
be
back.
in communication.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Right.
So
She
it
didn't
was always-
listen.
No, she
didn't
didn't.
listen.
She
Yeah.
didn't.
No.
Got her in trouble. But
Mhm.
okay, all this interviewing's going on, and then
Yep.
the dad finally wakes up, and his name's Han
Yes.
or Han Pan.
Han.
I just
Yeah.
know the
It
last
was like
name.
Han
the-
Pan.
Yeah, the last
Pan.
name is Pam
Yeah.
or something.
Pan
so.
It's Pan.
Yeah, Pan.
Han
So,
Pan.
but Pan finally wakes up out of his coma. So
Mm-hmm.
they're
Mhm.
finally able to talk to him.
Absolutely.
The moment that they've been waiting for. They're
Yep.
like, make this make
Sense, please.
Yeah.
Yes. All I took away
Um,
from it is the person wasn't black.
Okay, so
Here's the
Um,
real situation.
so this is what he tells them. He's like, I went to bed early.
Yeah.
My wife came home from
Mhm.
line dancing.
Soaked her feet.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He woke up. He was faced by a man with a gun.
Yep.
Vic was his wife's name.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Vic, and she was in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And then he continued to be pistol whipped on
Yep.
the couch.
Yep.
Mhm.
While his wife was begging for her life.
Yep.
Right.
And then he saw Jennifer walk downstairs with one of the men
Mhm.
Calmly.
calmly.
Yeah.
There was no like
While she's on the
struggle.
phone,
Yeah.
also.
She was also on the phone with the police as she's walking side by side
Mm-hmm.
with this other gentleman.
Mm-hmm. Obviously
No
knows him.
bindings.
Nope.
Right.
Yeah. And so after he tells them the details of what he witnessed,
Yeah.
Mhm.
while getting pistol whipped,
Yeah.
he was like, use your police
Just fuck-
techniques
Yeah.
and find out what,
What
Jennifer
Jennifer
did.
did.
And when he
Right.
said that, like, I don't know why I got chills. I was
Chills.
just like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Because
Because he
he-
knew. He knew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
he
knew.
He wasn't like, oh, protect my baby. He's like, no.
Oh, she
You
did
didn't
it.
try to kill me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
find out what she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, it definitely wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
it was too weird of the situation. I'm sure, like, okay, I'm getting, like, attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just
Mhm.
walking around, like, calm as a breeze.
You
But
would have
what's-
to know, right? To
Yeah.
a degree.
What's so heartbreaking though is that before Bick was shot,
Uh-huh.
she was begging for her daughter's life. She was
That-
like, please
no.
do
That
not hurt
got
my
me.
daughter.
That was so
I know. I was just
sad.
like, and I just like got emotional.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
like her last wish.
Yeah.
was like,
Well, 'cause
please
it
don't
also
hurt
takes
her.
you back to like, I guess we'll never really know to the extent of how extreme her parents were in the sense of like,
Sure.
the pressures
We
that
didn't
she
grow
had
up
to
with them.
Yeah.
to be successful.
Mhm.
But to be honest with you, comparing it to the story of the girl in my high school back in the day, like there's also a situation where it's just like, okay, perhaps yes, your parents put you in parameters and all that type of stuff, and yeah, perhaps it does suck that they
Right.
are not allowing
You
you to
have
see the boy
rules.
that you have feelings for, and you
Mhm.
and we're not saying that those feelings were real, but the thing is like they're a lot of times parents do that because they are wiser and
They're
are
trying to protect
more
you.
mature than
They
you, and they're
care.
trying to protect
Yeah.
you. They
They
love you
care.
and they care.
Yeah.
And it really seems like this case was, from what I'm told and what I've heard from other people, a typical Asian family
Mhm.
that they do have high expectations when it comes to academics. Not all Asian families, but it is seemed to me common. So it's just like, okay, outside of that, they seem to be still really loving and rooting for her and wanting the very best for her.
Exactly. They
So
still
the
love
fact
her.
that her mom was like, oh, like, save my child.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, yeah, because
That
at the
breaks
end
your
of the day,
heart.
she wasn't trying to like, make your life a living hell.
She wants you to succeed.
She
Yeah.
wants you to
Yeah.
succeed. And to be honest with you, with having outsiders like us watch the story
Mm-hmm.
and give our opinion, it's just like, yeah, Jennifer, it wasn't really the best person for
Right.
you.
Exactly.
Like
You shouldn't have been with
drug
him.
dealing, trafficking, also
Mhm.
like just he seemed, I think he was from her high school and everything, which he was.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like he's not choosing the right path in life.
And
Right.
let's just
So,
say
like-
the right person would not consent to this whole
No.
to murdering
No,
her
no.
parents.
And also too, he has chosen to be with another girl than you.
Mhm.
Regardless
even
if
wanna
you
be
guys
with
had to
you.
break up or not. Like
right.
he could have chosen an alternate route of like, oh no, I love you so much.
Yeah.
We'll just like break apart for a while and give it some space when we get older and we
Right.
get more settled into what we're trying to do, and
Mhm.
then we'll come to your parents at a later time. He didn't do none of that.
No.
And I hate to say it, but like, told you so. Your parents were right. They
Right.
were absolutely
He's not a good
right.
cookie.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so
all
it's
there
just
is
kind of
to it.
like hearing that part in the story. It's just like a lot of times I'm like, okay, like I feel for why you did what you did and stuff, but this time around I'm just kind of like, not really, because it's like
Yeah, there's not a
you're
good
not
reason.
really experiencing that much different than the average teenager.
No.
Right.
It's
And it's the
Yeah.
immaturity of like, well, I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
let's just pop.
Let's
Right.
Yeah.
Really. And then on top
That's
of that,
your last
cold.
that's the decision.
That's what you go
make
for?
to-
Yeah.
do you guys remember
move
when they
out.
asked her? They asked her about the life insurance policy. Do you know anything if your parents have life insurance policies or anything that like
Yeah.
you could have like there might be
Benefited
anything
from
there
it.
from them from them dying?
Mhm.
I don't even think he was wording it like you benefiting, but like maybe
Right,
someone
just-
else benefiting
Right.
or whatever. Because I know that they were looking at
Do you
the
know if
boyfriend.
they have it?
But she's like, no, not really. Oh, well, actually, they do have something pulled out for me and then a set aside for my education. And it's just like she says it in a way where it's just like, once again, my parents are very like, humble, like da 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 da. But then also at the same time, they do have this, and this. So it's just like you started
Little
off in a way of
contradictory.
innocence, but
Right.
then are very much like, I know a lot of what they have. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you do. I bet
And
you do.
there was also
Yeah. And
when-
she wanted that house. She wanted their
Right.
cars. She wanted everything.
And when they
Mhm.
uncovered, because they did discover that she was lying, before they were murdered,
Right.
they found out that she had been lying about the 4 years of university. So they actually wanted her to give back that money that they had sent.
Yeah.
So that's another
That's
incentive.
a big
is not,
incentive.
like
Yeah.
I can
not having
keep
to
that
pay.
money,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she already spent it.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Because this whole time she hasn't like the whole 4 years that she was
Yeah.
supposed to be at university. She was probably trying to keep in touch with Danny.
Probably.
So
yeah.
oh well, yeah, because the one high school, because the one friend said
Mom.
that statement of saying like, the money that she was getting, she was spending it on her boyfriend because there was
Oh, that's
nothing.
right.
That's
I forgot
right.
There was
about
nothing
Yes.
good for her to spend it on.
Nothing better for her to spend
Yeah,
it on.
and
what
I
did
was
she
like,
buy?
oh
she bought
my
something for him. She bought something
It was
really expensive
it
for
was
him
like a
with all the money she
a
saved.
paintball gun.
Oh yeah, like she had a
Yes.
summer
A
job.
paintball gun.
or
That's
a
what
BB
it was.
gun.
She had a summer job. She
paintball gun, I
saved up
think.
money, and then instead of her putting it towards academics or something else for her,
or even her
It
parents.
was like a
she's-
$2,000
yeah,
gun, you know,
She
like
spent
fake
it on
gun.
Who needs
Danny.
that? Who
I
needs
don't
that?
know.
It's not even that, but it's just like the way that he had said it. Like she had said it, where it's just like there's nothing else. Like
There's nothing better for me to spend it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, what do you
It
mean,
show-
girl?
It shows obsessive character.
I
It
would have
does.
rather
It
her
does.
gotten, I don't know, a Gucci purse or
Right.
something.
Make
But the
yourself
fa-
happy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's not good either, but it's just kind of like the fact that you're like, I'm gonna spend it on my man because there's
All
just
of it.
nothing else I
Right.
can
All
think
of it.
of.
All
Yeah.
of it. All of it.
It's just like, okay, what is he spending on you,
Right.
Mm,
What are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
girl?
It was obviously not a healthy relationship.
Not at all.
He is not a stable guy. And she's really not a stable girl.
Mm-mm.
So,
No.
yeah.
And he
Maybe
took
they
advantage
deserved
of
each
that at
other.
a certain point
Oh,
because obviously,
absolutely.
like
Yeah.
he knew that like there's life insurance policies pulled out and all that type of stuff, and I feel like he was looking at her like, okay, like this is someone I can
Opportunity.
use.
He
and an
knew she was
opportunity.
obsessed with
And
him.
he-
Yeah.
I think so.
Mhm.
Definitely
Mhm.
took advantage of that, and I'm sure there was also some emotional, like he was flattered by the
Yeah.
fact, you know.
Sure.
I feel like he probably was cheating on her too throughout the whole
Probably.
year.
Oh,
Probably.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cheating on his
Yeah.
current girlfriend
Right,
just
right,
by
right.
communicating with
Right.
her like that. Come
Mhm.
on, that's cheating. It's just in
Kinda,
my
yeah.
book a little bit.
It's
A little bit
definitely
emotional.
crossing a line.
An emotional affair.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
I found out my boyfriend was corroborating with his ex on
ex.
killing his parents, I would be like, oh my word.
Well, first,
oh, that
kill-
hurts in my heart. I would rather it to be cheating, honestly. I
Yeah,
think.
I
than
I think
killing the
so.
parents? Yeah.
I was like, oh my
Fuck
gosh.
that.
Yeah.
That's-
Cool.
That's crazy.
You were laying up in my bed?
And you were willing to do this
Right.
for another woman?
Right.
God.
There's a problem.
Thank goodness I didn't cross you the wrong way. I would have been popped off too.
Oh my
Pop, pop.
gosh.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
crazy.
I just Jennifer.
Jennifer.
What have
So
you done?
yeah. So I mean, honestly, they come around where they understand that it was Jennifer. She was the one that plotted the whole thing and everything, and ended up getting her boyfriend to do it for
Well,
her.
yeah, but we also have to take into
Okay.
account Homeboy. But I think the
Homeboy.
Yeah.
last interview, I want to kind of put emphasis on the last interview because I thought it was really interesting
Mhm.
when they finally were able to talk to Han.
Mhm.
Han, right?
Han.
Han.
No,
No,
Han.
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 Han's,
Han.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So when they finally got to talk to Han, then they brought in another detective who was a specialist
Right.
in detecting whether people are lying or not.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I really thought this was interesting about Canada, but the law enforcement is allowed to lie to get
Yeah.
information. They did point that out, and I wasn't really aware of that. So
Really?
I thought that was
Really?
interesting.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, they can totally
the most
bullshit you.
exciting
And then
part.
they can
Yeah.
say, we have your fingerprints there.
Yeah.
Why do we have your
Right.
fingerprints?
Which I
and then
think
they
is
could be like, oh,
Important
you
for
know.
you to have a
'Cause I pulled
lawyer.
the trigger.
You know,
I
the
did.
lawyer will
Exactly.
be like,
Right.
not
Yeah,
today,
yeah.
not today.
Yeah,
And
he was
Honestly-
like, oh, there's like, what did he say? There's technology where it's able to trace and detect who is all in like the building or in the space
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Which
And I was
first
like,
off,
bull.
wild.
She
Like,
must be
there's
gullible
satellites. There's
because-
satellites that could see everything that was
Right.
happening.
I'd be
We
like,
just-
bullshit.
Talk
Yeah.
about illegal, first
No,
of all.
I'm gullible
Right.
though. I'd be like, really?
It would have taken me a minute. I would have been like, isn't that illegal?
Yeah.
Do I need
Exactly.
to sue you guys?
But if
I
you
know.
haven't done it and they say, you
Yeah.
know, like your fingerprints are there, you'd be like, bullshit.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I
No,
wasn't
they're not.
there. Yeah.
Where'd
No.
you get that from?
Right.
In my, I would have been like, I'm so fucked.
That's-
Ah, Dex.
I know. Okay, they
That's-
used to do this thing. This is so funny. They used to do this thing instead of like lie detector tests. They would have people. It was the same concept. They said that it would detect if you're lying or not, but they would put their hand on just a copier, and they would say that it was a lie detector test,
Stop.
and they would make it go through, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're lying," and then sometimes they would confess.
Oh my god.
So they did that all the time.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. That's,
I would never do any type of crime with you if I ever got to a point. I am so sorry.
Dang.
Just
She'd
being,
start-
just
she'd
being
start laughing.
associated with you might even put me at risk. Because we could literally watch a murder or something happen across the street and you'd be like, you got me. I did it. I'm like, no, I didn't, bro.
no, I'm not not saying that I would confess easily, but in my head, if I heard like, "Oh, satellites can see what you're doing," I would be like, "Oh my god, I'm so fucked."
Yeah,
But I
okay,
wouldn't.
yeah,
We
yeah.
go to
actually-
jail,
I wouldn't
and Bex is
confess.
like-
Because you know there are people that literally confess on a
False-
crime that they didn't do
false
because
confession.
they end up
Yeah.
like legit thinking that they did it.
"Oh god."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They gaslight themselves.
Yeah,
They're
they
like, "You know
do.
what?"
They're like, maybe I
we
did
go to
do
jail,
it.
and Bex is like, I didn't do it, but I told him I did it,
Right.
guys.
And I'm like, girl, what'd you say? They're like,
okay, that
I
might
don't
be
know.
me.
They were making a lot of sense.
I thought for a minute, maybe.
Like, girl, you
maybe I
were in
Thinking
literally.
straight this whole time.
Like, there's no way you were in Mexico with us.
Girl, you were there.
Yeah, but I was thinking about
Right,
that
right.
person when it happened.
Maybe I caused it.
Telepathically. It
Right.
just-
I killed them.
Oh boy, maybe we are in danger.
I know. That's what
I
I'm
would
saying.
not confess. I would go to the grave, but I also internally would be like, "Oh my god, I'm so caught. I'm so caught. I'm so caught." Like
Yeah.
that would be me.
Yeah.
for sure. The constant anxiety of it all.
Well, I'll take off the extra layer. Like, I will
Yeah.
never commit a crime with you.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
If
It's a-
it happens, we just have to shut the fuck up.
Mhm.
Like, don't say anything
Yeah.
to anyone.
and don't be like,
We
"It
would
was
be
you,
that
it was a
friend
Jamaican."
group. Obviously, disclaimer: we would never do anything.
No,
crazy.
God, no.
We're
No.
just thinking.
I'm
of
just
our
saying,
guys.
for murder.
if I were a criminal, I wouldn't be stupid too. You know.
Right,
But
right, right.
don't,
Yeah.
don't they
I'm
all
gonna be
say
real.
that?
Like, if I got to the point where I already killed somebody off, and I felt like one of
Hey.
you guys were like literally gonna like spill the beans or something, I probably would start thinking about killing you off too.
oh,
Well, that's
No,
that's
true.
fair. That's
Like,
fair.
if it came down
Well,
to
and
it,
then-
I would be like, Lizzie. So what we gonna do? Because she's really gonna take us down. We gotta figure it out. Yeah,
Yep.
I'd be like, we need to send her away. We gotta make her not exist anymore because she's taking us down.
We're so just kidding.
I'm the first
We were so
one.
just
So
kidding,
just kidding.
obviously.
gone.
And to be fair, if it was me, I would get it.
Yeah.
You know
Like,
what I
it's
mean?
fair.
Like
yeah.
if you guys
I
were
get
like,
it.
okay, cheers,
Well, and
like
that's why-
you've said too much. I'm like,
That's why her story doesn't make sense, because they would have killed her. If it
Yeah,
were really
true.
that does make sense. You don't leave witnesses.
Witnesses.
No,
The
you
only
don't
way to
leave
keep a
witnesses.
secret-
I'm
the-
just saying.
The only way to keep a secret is to ensure that other person's dead.
yeah.
yeah,
So
or they're a part of it. It's either one of the two.
We'll
Right.
know if they're a part of
they
it. though,
either
still.
cared about her, and
Yeah.
they couldn't care about her in like
Right.
the 10 minutes that it took to do all that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They either cared about her, so they probably knew her before,
Right.
and they were sparing her because they were doing this robbery and they knew her,
Right.
or she set it up.
Right.
That's your only options, really.
Right.
So.
I honestly I do feel like in order for you to be successful as a killer,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be locked in, so far locked in to not to say that like killing someone wouldn't affect you, but it wouldn't affect you enough to also make other decisions later on
Right.
to continue the whatever you've
Right.
started the ball in or whatever rolling in.
Right.
So it's just like honestly like that's what's the chilling thing about it is like a lot of people are like, oh, we can like stand in together. I've saw so many stories about like best friends or friends like getting into a situation with each other, whatever.
Mhm.
And then like when it came down to it, some of them were like, well, someone's got to go because like you're not.
and it ain't gonna be
and
me.
It's not gonna be me. But it's just kind of like that. Just shows you how ruthless it is,
Yeah.
though. Like
Yeah.
you dig the hole so far where it's either you
And
out
they keep
yourself
lying
or you
and
keep-
lying.
Just
Yeah.
keep digging.
or you keep
Mhm.
digging and killing other people. Like be quiet. It's kind of
Yeah.
like what's the show? You.
yeah.
Where like
That's a good-
it,
that's-
I love
yeah.
that show. And the
Oh,
show,
that's
like he
wild.
literally just keeps killing people
Yeah.
off because
Yeah.
he's just
Gotta cover
like,
that up.
yeah, gotta cover it up, gotta cover it up.
Right.
But the thing is he got away with it so long because of that, though.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Because
very
like
true.
the more
Serial
people, the
killers
more
do it,
people
yeah.
like will
Mhm.
mess up your story.
Yeah.
So
That's
like you
very
shut them
true.
up, then
Yeah.
But yeah, she finally, I think it was the satellite call. She finally was like, okay,
Yes.
I did it.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
she,
I wanted to die. They messed up.
Right.
yeah, she
That
did
was
put in that
the- that
little
was
the
lie.
thing.
I'm
Like
like,
they were
girl,
supposed to come
stop.
in and kill me.
Which
I'm like,
no one believes
How would they
that.
confuse that? Why would they be like, no, not you. I'm gonna kill your parents instead.
well, it's like the news, like when they didn't know like who had done it yet. They were like, oh,
Uh-huh.
maybe the robbers got confused and burgled the wrong house.
Right.
Burgled.
Burgled. I swear it's a word.
I love it.
And they're
though.
like, wait, who does that though?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and who
but-
messes it up that bad?
Yeah.
I mean, there was that one story that we did like remember that one story we talked about how like the one guy like showed up because he got paid to like kill the one girl. The girl opened up the door and he shot her and then left, but it ended up being the wrong girl.
Yeah, it's
So
happened
it's happened
before.
before.
But
but
that's
like
no,
but-
they were supposed to come in and kill me in front of my parents.
But
That's
those are
Right,
also like
right.
people that look similar age,
Right,
you know,
right,
same.
like
you
how
know-
are you confusing like a daughter to parents?
right.
Also, yeah, the gender too. You've got the
Yeah.
dad, yeah, and then you got two people versus one
One,
person.
yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
They're like, we're gonna
No.
pivot here and we're gonna kill your parents,
Mhm.
but we don't want any
Because
money
we
or
just
anything.
because we just want to. It's a
Right, right,
buy
right.
one get one.
Right,
you know,
right.
yeah.
I'm just a sinister killer.
I'm just gonna go ahead and do two. Yeah,
Right.
no, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it
No.
could have really if it was like a really messed up sadistic person. It was just like, I'm gonna screw you over and get your money and ruin your life, and I'm gonna kill your parents.
that's
why
real
not?
messed up. Yeah.
right. But like,
Christ.
that's not what happened.
No,
No.
it's not. So she ends up, kind of telling the truth about that, except she was
Yeah.
supposed to die. I didn't want that to happen.
She just
Um,
wanted
and
it
at
to
this
look
point-
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And then
Right.
they start at this point. They, I know that they're looking at her messages between her and Danny,
Right.
and they keep
Mhm.
talking about this homeboy, and she's like, "Homeboy did it. Homie did
Yeah.
it." And
Homie.
so they figure they learned
away.
that Danny Wong helped Jennifer Pan set up the whole murder with
Right.
this
Right.
homeboy. Who turns out to be some guy named Lenford Crawford.
Yeah.
And that's all I know about
Right, there
Lenford
wasn't-
Crawford.
yeah.
He
Little
was the
Lenny.
homie that did the pop
Yeah, they didn't
pop,
go
and-
into detail about him.
They really
Or
didn't.
there was one other person too, because there was a total of 3 men. So
Mhm.
there,
It-
it was Lenford Crawford and some other guy.
Yeah.
But they really don't give a lot of information about the
No,
other
they
2
don't.
men.
Honestly, they're not
um,
really relevant.
Mm-mm.
No,
To be honest with
they're just
you.
hired help.
They were
Yeah.
just identified during the
Well, yeah.
phone searches with
Mhm.
all
And
the text
sentenced
messages,
later
and they were
on.
able
They're
to.
relevant in the fact that they pulled the trigger, so they need to be
Right.
punished.
Oh,
For
But
sure.
absolutely.
as far as the story goes, they just did what they were
Yeah.
hired
Yeah, like
to
in
do.
the motive, like their motive is pretty like basic, like
Money.
just money.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
nothing better else good to do, honestly.
So
Right.
what actually happened was Jennifer had messaged homeboy, like she gave a signal, like, okay, time to come in and shoot my parents.
Right.
And so she went upstairs, signaled them,
Mhm.
and then
Unlock the door.
when the mom came home from line dancing, that was the time.
Yep.
And so she just called the shot.
Yeah.
Made it
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
She
don't
could have backed
think-
out anytime.
I don't
yeah,
think that
you-
there
just
was
kidding, not today.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I don't- you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that there was any huge remorse when it came to Jennifer, like admitting it everything. I
Right.
think that the tears and
Or for
the
herself.
stress were for herself.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
do. I think that you do feel. I feel like you do get to a point where you call the shot. Call the what is it called? Like you give the signal for your parents to get shot down. I think that you
Mhm.
have to get to a point when you are so like
I'm ready to do this.
detached from your parents,
Right.
Disassociated
and
and, like,
disassociated like
yeah.
emotionally
Like,
and stuff
okay.
like
Right.
that.
Looking at them
And-
more like obstacles than
Not
Right.
human. You can't
Yeah,
look at you
exactly.
can't look at it as you can't look
No.
at them as humans
Right,
in order
right.
to
if you have
commit an
any
act like
empathy
that.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like her personal my personal opinion is that she was stressed out and anxious because she realized that she was getting caught and it was pointing fingers back to her.
Yeah.
And I think when she was saying like, oh, like, it was supposed to be me and I think
Right.
that she has struggled with probably depression and suicidal thoughts for a while.
right.
But
Sure.
instead
But it's no
of
excuse.
her doing that, I think she like really pinpointed like the reason why I feel this way is because of my parents.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the reason why I'm depressed,
Something-
the
Put
reason
that
why I
on
don't have
them.
my man, the reason why this and that and the
it's
other.
them. They're
it's their
inhibiting
fault.
me from
Right.
Yeah.
preventing me from
She
being
was
happy.
blaming all of her life issues on them.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
let's not forget, this is not the first time that she tried to murder them.
Right.
So
Which
10,
is-
mo-
that's
10 months
crazy.
prior,
Yeah.
she had who did she ask?
Ask a friend.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
asked a friend to kill her father.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
She was a woman on a
Which-
mission.
yeah.
Which
one
is
thing-
interesting that she asked just for the dad and not both of them. You know?
Your mom
That's-
must have taken her off at some point. between
Yeah,
those
she's like, you
couple-
know what? Let's make it a
Let's
duo
just
package.
do it all so I can get the
Jeez.
house. That's what she wanted.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why they like all these 3 people signed up to help her was to get access to the funds and try
Right,
to get
right,
some
right,
money
right,
out
right.
of it. What confuses me is the harassment calls because they did find out that Jennifer is the one that made those harassment calls to
Yep.
Danny and
Yeah.
to herself, and it was like,
So
what?
stupid.
I don't understand why. And then why did Danny call that in? Did he know he knew it was Jennifer doing that? If he knew that?
I don't know. That was
that
the part that was
really
kind of confusing
confuses
me. I don't know if it
What
was
the motive?
I feel like he knew.
I don't
He
think
had
he
to have known.
I don't think he knew because he
But
was
she-
like
But then why was she calling herself? Or
to make it look like
To make it look like
they
it.
have
somebody
something in
Yeah,
common.
because he threw that out there as
Oh,
one of the
they were
first
trying to
reasons.
trauma bond.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's we haven't covered this yet, but
Yeah.
what is that? Lover, stalker, killer,
Oh,
where
yeah,
she
yeah.
was like harassing
Yes.
herself.
Yes,
Oh,
I remember
because she was
that.
stalking,
Uh-huh.
and they ended up like trauma bonding through
right.
that. That's what Jennifer was doing.
Let's
Yeah.
bond over this experience.
Oh,
yeah.
Right,
so it had
right,
nothing.
right.
Okay, that
Right.
makes sense now. Because at first I was like, why was she
But
doing
he
that?
totally used that. He used that as almost kind of like a way out of like, don't look at me. It could be this person.
Mhm.
That's why he
Yeah.
called it in, because he didn't know it was her.
He didn't know it was
Yeah.
her, but he
Accidentally.
knew for
He's
sure.
trying to blame someone else.
He was
yeah.
trying to, but he knew for sure like it wasn't the reason why the parents died.
He
But
probably-
he definitely
No,
used it to
but he
his own
was-
advantage.
Yeah, he was like, oh, we are getting these prank
Right,
calls.
right,
Let's
right.
use that.
Right,
Not
yeah.
knowing
He
it was
probably
fucking Jennifer.
suspected it was Jennifer
I think
anyway.
so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But then why
know.
would you call it in if you were suspecting Jennifer and
And
Jennifer
maybe he
helped you do a
didn't.
murder?
That's true.
Yeah, you wouldn't
I
call
don't
it in
know.
if
You
you knew it was
wouldn't.
Jennifer.
You wouldn't, but part of me kind of feels like at that point you also would have thrown anything out there.
He's
for it to
kinda
get it off of
desperate.
you.
That's true.
Right.
And I also feel like I mean, I truly don't know. This is just my opinion. How would
Mhm.
you not know she wouldn't have anything to do with those prank calls? Because just think about how their conversations would have gone. Like, think
Yeah.
about Sweet Bobby. In a sense, like you're pretending to be somebody that you're not.
Mm.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she really was good at pretending and lying and like,
I
oh
mean-
yeah, I got a call too earlier today. It
Well,
was
she's trying to
crazy."
keep in touch with him and trying to have
Yeah,
some,
I get
some
that.
sort of
something in
shared
common.
experience with
Mhm.
him.
I wonder
that
if she
competes
slipped
with
up
the
at
girlfriend.
any point
Yeah.
and like slipped up and was like, oh yeah, like I can't believe they called you and threatened you and said this. And then he was
He's
like,
like, "So
how did you know
how-
that he said that?
Oh, because they said it to me too. I just assumed.
I just, I figured it was copy and paste.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like, you know, I mean, this is like the 50th call by
She
now.
said something. I thought this was funny. At some point, she was like telling him that she loved him, and he said something like, "Sorry, I love my new girlfriend. What was her name? Crystal.
Yeah.
I love her the way you love me."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, ouch."
When
That
I
would be
saw
a
that text, I
punch
was
to
like,
the gut.
girl.
Why would you
Yeah.
continue
You should quit. Yeah,
throwing
he's with
yourself at
someone.
someone who's
Right.
talking
That's
like
like-
that? Like,
Right.
Equivalent to like a guy telling you that like I don't see myself marrying you, or you know, and like, I don't know.
Right.
You guys maybe have never gotten that before. I have, but like
I've
I don't see myself marrying you, or you know, like
I mean, I've gotten it in different words.
Yeah.
you know?
yeah, just like
yeah.
in that realm of just kind of like pretty much saying like, yeah, you're not who I want.
Right.
So.
yeah.
I've
I guess
gotten that.
I guess I haven't gotten that. I've gotten the you're a gem, but
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 not.
yeah, no,
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've definitely got that.
Yeah.
oh god, that's
But
such a
either
common
way, like the
go-to.
way he honestly receiving that text message, and I'm pretty sure he's sent like even probably crappier ones before that one too.
Mhm.
But it's just like that would have done it. If,
Right.
if nothing else would have done
I'm
it, that
good.
would have done it.
Right.
Like, okay, great, boom.
She
Why are you
obviously-
still offering to like give him money to pay your parents?
Right.
Find someone else.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Move on.
Because you know what
Get
would
over
have
it.
hurt her bad is for her to like maybe have gotten away with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giving him the money and him to still choose Christine and live a life
Right?
with Christine off
Right.
of your parents.
And he
Money.
probably would have. I don't think he was that into her.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That's what was wild.
Although he
He was
probably
like-
would have received prank calls for like the rest of the time.
2 years later, oh,
sorry.
my gosh,
I'm
I think
still
this is
getting these
Jennifer.
calls.
Right.
I just clapped in the microphone. My bad.
Well, that's okay. I've done a lot of things
But-
to this microphone.
So after
Oh.
all of this is
You
uncovered,
want to talk about it?
Wait, what?
She
No,
goes,
it's
I've
okay.
done a lot of things to this microphone.
Okay, that's all right.
Anyways.
Yeah, I'm not going to continue on. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, Jennifer, Danny, and the other co-accused, they were sentenced to life in
Yes,
prison with
they
no
were.
chance of parole for 25 years. I think the
Good.
sentencing was in 2015. I could
Yeah.
be wrong, but I also know I did look up that they have been granted
Right.
a new trial
Yeah.
through a successful appeal against their conviction for the
Yeah.
first degree murder of Bick. She still is like,
Pleads
I'm innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
crazy man. How are
wild.
you still pleading innocent?
When you admitted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she's going to go down like
Because
the,
it wasn't supposed to be her.
Oh.
Or
No,
them.
I
Or
think
it,
it's supposed
it
to
was
be-
supposed to be her.
Yeah, it was
I
right.
think
exactly.
she might go with the mental health
Oh, absolutely.
route for sure.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And
because
can.
She's not that messed up.
Yeah, no.
There's no way.
All she has to do is just get
She knew what
a
was-
doctor on her
what was
side
going
that's
on.
going to diagnose her appropriately, and then I'm not saying she'll get out, but that's the most
They're not
best
gonna
way
fall
I
for
can
it.
see her getting
Right.
some sort
Right.
of like
She
less than sentence.
Obviously has mental health issues,
Oh,
but
for sure.
not
Sure.
suicidal ideation. So that
I
Well,
mean,
it's
I don't think
not
she'll
like-
go for that. I think she'll just be like, I was out of my mind. Like, I just blacked out. And
It has to be, basically it wasn't in your control. And
Right,
it is
right, right.
very difficult to do. Even like people that are schizophrenic don't always get,
right.
the insanity plea.
You would, I
yeah.
think, like, one
There's
of the
no
ones
way.
is like, you would also have to pretty much try to claim, like,
You didn't know what you were doing.
yeah, there's one of them. I know for sure. It's like mentally, like you're underdeveloped. Like you pretty much are like retarded. I don't know what the right what it is, but like essentially,
We'll
like
cut-
you
we'll cut that
cannot.
as special needs. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Special
want to say
needs,
special
yeah.
needs because that's such a large umbrella, but it's specifically like you can't make sound decisions and you borderline need someone to assist you in your everyday life,
Right.
Because you just aren't able to like function at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
And in those, it's
No.
because it's like with someone with that's autism, there's a spectrum there. So then you have to fine point it there. But like even with people with
High
autism, there's
functioning
high
and low-
functioning,
low
yeah.
functioning.
So it's just like they would even have a hard time. So you would have to really be like, I'm just really not fully developed in the
Well,
brain area to make those decisions. But
she
obviously
can't
she
claim
can't do that.
No.
But you
But I know that
can't,
people
yeah.
have done that, and
Mhm.
people are like, no, clearly this person isn't able to do
Right.
that, and
This
they've
is their
gone on the
maturity
radar
level.
for so long
Right.
that they snapped and they killed this person. They don't even fully recognize what they did.
Right. It's very hard to
Mhm.
get an insanity plea.
Yeah.
Very difficult. She's
Right.
not going to. So.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so. And I really do feel for her father.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
he
Poor
was
guy.
granted a lifetime non-contact order
Right.
against Jennifer.
When I
which
saw that pop
props to
up, I
him.
was like,
yeah,
absolutely.
I would do the same
Why
as a
would you-
parent.
yeah.
Like, I never
Yeah.
want to speak to you again. You're no longer.
No, you tried to
You might
kill
try to
me.
do it
and you
again.
killed my
Yeah.
life. You ruined my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes me feel for him, and I wonder what he thinks of the new trial they're gonna have.
I don't know.
Right. In the documentary. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a rough one. I feel like she was being very, very selfish, and I get it. Like, everyone has like hardships with their parents and stuff like that, but I really do believe the best thing you can do in that situation, if you really aren't seeing eye to eye with your parent and you're above the age of 18, just leave.
Yes. Just
Yep.
leave.
Just leave.
Exactly.
Get a job at McDonald's. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Get that
Get out
low
of-
rent apartment somewhere. Maybe
Mhm.
even like share one of those rooms or places with people until you can really afford something better.
Mhm.
But just it will do you so much better in the long haul to get out of that environment, even if it is like super unhealthy for you and stuff like
You'll
that.
find out later.
And then you'll honestly
Right.
at that point too,
Gonna learn
it
the hard
gives
way.
you some breathing room to really think things through.
Mhm.
And perhaps maybe you get to rebuild a relationship with your parents later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get
because-
out of the toxic environment. Find out
Yeah.
who you are. Thrive there.
Mhm.
And then maybe revisit the trauma, go back to your parents and talk to them
Right.
if you're in a healthy place.
Right.
But otherwise, if you're not, leave.
Right.
Yep.
Leave.
Just go.
No, there's no law out there. And I will say this also based on faith.
Mhm.
You do not have to stay under the rule of your parents if you are truly feeling like it's a toxic environment. Leave.
when you're
There-
18.
You don't
Or,
have to.
Right. When you can.
Yeah.
I wish
Yeah,
you
when you
could.
can. I mean, yeah.
Legally.
I mean, even if you're underage, if you really, really are feeling like there's something like crazy going on there, seek out other people and
Tell your
adults for
teachers,
resources.
yeah.
A teacher,
Mhm.
maybe a
Other
family
family
member,
member.
a friend, an adult that you think is very responsible and makes sound
Mhm.
decisions. But what I'm trying to say here is like, if you're getting the vibe that like you cannot live and function under a certain environment, there are other options besides resorting to something extreme like Jennifer.
Right.
Mhm.
Because like I can tell you too that like I don't think my childhood was like the breeziest when it comes to parents and stuff like that. But looking back on it, like I see my own mom in a whole different light than I did when I was a teenager. You're
Mhm.
dealing with hormones, you're dealing
Oh,
with
right,
like,
right.
so many different things. And I'm
Lack
not
of
saying that
perspective.
it wasn't
Mhm.
invalid, but at the same time, it's just like you get older and you mature and your brain is fully developed after
Right.
25. So it's just like you're able to really understand where somebody else is coming from more
Then
so.
you figure out that the whole world doesn't revolve around you. You
You
know, that there's
do.
so much more out there. The
Mhm.
world couldn't care less. Everyone's worried about their own stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's huge on who you surround yourself with. I imagine if like she involved herself with somebody that was more a better influence and
Right.
like somebody that was like more just
better
like
friend
had things
group.
going on and just like a
Mhm.
better person involved. Her parents probably wouldn't have been so strict. And on top of that, like when you surround yourself with positive people and people that are actually
They
trying
would have
to like,
never
they
recommended
would have
doing
never
that.
recommended. They would have, you know, kept you focused on like better things for your life and all that type of stuff, giving you better
Right.
advice and everything like that. And so part of me kind of feels like if Jennifer just like would have surrounded herself with, you know, the right person, made that choice, because it seemed like she
Like,
did
go
have
play
a friend that
sport or
was
something. Go
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
she could have like got through this rough patch and then like in her 30s maybe look back and be like, okay, you know what, I get it a little
Yeah.
bit where my
It-
parents were coming
it
from.
was rough.
She robbed
but yeah.
herself of that opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of that was immaturity, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
was still in that mindset of a teenager.
Bringing it back to like the girl that I went to high school with and stuff too, like when she was sentenced in jail,
Mhm.
there was like I think a video footage that I saw, and she was like, I am so sorry, like she was bawling.
Yeah.
Like and it was I think it was a couple years later or whatever, because it was a resentencing.
Okay.
And
at least she admitted that she did it.
yeah, I mean, she didn't make it that far when it came down to that, but it was just like you could tell that like, I mean, at least for me, like that she realized like the gravity that she did.
Right.
And it's just like, dang, like, yeah, like
She was sorry.
you're not even admitting that there was any abuse, like of any nature of reason for you to do the things you do. You did it purely off of your selfishness because you wanted to
Yeah.
be with this boy.
Right.
Like when
You wanted
you're,
no more rules.
you're
Yeah.
17 years old, you didn't even turn 18 yet. And it's just
Right.
kind of like, dang. And like now look at you. You're 20s. I think she was like 25 or so at the time or something like that. And it's just
Uh-huh.
like, you are so regretful of the situation and you robbed
Right.
yourself of that.
Right.
And those are one of those decisions you just cannot take back.
Nope.
No
No, you sure can't.
So
That's
she up in
crazy.
there now.
Yeah. Well, that is what Jennifer did.
Yep.
She did do that. That
Did done do that.
She
Done did do it.
Well, I think honestly, the conclusion that I take away from, there's so many conclusions. My conclusion is don't let a boy or a girl, don't let it get that serious. It's just, I being 32 years old, I'm trying to put myself back in that space.
Right. It's
I
hard.
know it's real.
hard to go
It's
back
real.
to the
It's
teen
real, but just don't let it be
Yeah.
that real for you. Like,
Yeah.
don't let it be that real. There are other people. Don't
There are
let
other
it get
options.
so obsessive.
Reach out to family members and
My takeaway is
teachers,
there's never
something.
a good reason for murder. Just
No.
end
No.
of story. Okay, yes, it's sometimes understandable, like with the
Yeah.
Well, if you're
Menendez
defending
brothers.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Defensive,
yeah.
But like if it comes down to something like I want this.
Yeah.
I want this. There's
get it
never a
yourself.
good
Oh, you
reason
want it.
for
Yeah,
murder to get
over
what
it.
you want.
No.
Right.
Absolutely.
No, I agree
No.
with that for sure.
Yeah.
So
100%.
That's
Right.
why she's in prison.
What's your conclusion, Lizzie?
That she was extremely immature. All of this could have been avoided. Yeah. And honestly, the guy that she risked it all for didn't even like her. You know?
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I just think she's very immature.
The least it could have been was just like, oh, we were lovers. We just wanted to be together. And
It
this
wasn't
is the
even
best
like a
that our
Bonnie
two
and
brains could
Clyde
come up with
situation.
together.
He was like, I have a new girlfriend. I don't even want this.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. It
I'm
couldn't
like-
have even been that. It wasn't even that. It
I'm
wasn't even that.
experiencing
think
a
it
little
wanted
bit of
it to be.
secondhand embarrassment from her. That's
Little
how I
bit,
feel a
little
little bit.
bit.
I'm gonna
It's
be
a little
real.
cringe.
I think it was a
It's a little
desperate
cringe.
attempt at getting him back, and it
Yeah.
did not work.
And the humiliation now.
Right.
Like, well, we're both in jail together, but he don't even want me.
Will you be
Sorry.
my pen pal?
He at least had probably, I don't know what Christine decided, but like, I mean, who knows? Christine could be like
Yeah.
communicating with him outside of in the real
Poor
world.
I hope
Christine.
not.
Jennifer got
Girl, I hope
nobody.
not.
She better watch it back. Somebody might be like, drop the bar, Jennifer. Drop it.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
Alright.
Okay.
Anyways.
We're probably done here, huh?
Tell us what you think.
Yes.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
What would you have done? Obviously not what Jennifer did.
That's gonna be a comment. Obviously not what Jennifer did.
But like honestly, like I
Don't
don't
answer
know.
that.
Yeah, don't answer that. But like I don't know. Like
I
I
know.
guess like do you think that like her just moving out would have been the best case scenario, or maybe she should have went to therapy with her parents and really figured out what
Therapy.
was going
Yeah.
on between the family dynamics. Also too, if you are someone that has an Asian ethnic background, maybe you can give some more enlightenment on this type of topic, because I do know that like within that type of ethnicity that there are expectations that are high sometimes, and it does create a very stressful environment. So I don't know, just leave your opinions and comments below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Let us
comment,
know.
subscribe, and we will see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.